2023 was extremely important in developing the habits, because getting to the point where you show up, you podcast every single week, you record and do the content, you do the right activities in your business, your health, all those things become an unconscious way of operating once you develop the habit. So I was happy to put quality to the side while I developed and got those habits dialed in to now focus on the quality. I'll kick off this conversation with a question. Do you have a theme for 2024? I'll explain. So each year I select a singular word that forms an overarching intention for how I want to show up over the next 12 months. In 2023, that word for me was consistency, and that was about developing life-changing habits in the areas that formulate part of the vision that I designed for myself and my family that would compound into those outcomes over time. In 2024, it's a lead on from consistency and its standards, and that's become my theme. And that's about raising the quality and the output in those ingrained habits that now form part of my life. And you may notice, if you're tuning in and watching the video version of this episode, that the resolution is much higher quality than what you would see in the 2023 episodes that were recorded using a MacBook Air webcam. And the first standard that I attacked was upgrading the equipment that we utilize for content in our businesses so we can produce a much higher quality product, and I can also show up in a more aesthetically pleasing way for my own brand and lead from where I live. But 2023 was extremely important in developing the habits, because getting to the point where you show up, you podcast every single week, you record and do the content, you do the right activities in your business, your health, all those things become an unconscious way of operating once you develop the habit. So I was happy to put quality to the side while I developed and got those habits dialed in to now focus on the quality. And in my older podcast, content marketing podcast, I did an entire episode on that. And I've changed the standards and the game plan for 2024 based on this theme. And I want to invite you to pick that word that you feel aligned with, something that's been coming to you in the new year when you step back, had a little break, been in reflection mode, but a word that empowers you and influences you energetically. I've noticed that the word standards has raised my vibrational frequency, also the way that I walk, the way that I look at situations, because I'm really driving for that quality. And it also layers into time, what I eat, put into my body, how I show up in my relationships. So it's a very, very powerful word to have front and center for me every single day. You're welcome to have the same word, but I would say choose the word that aligns with you to have the most inspiring, productive, and fulfilling 2024 that you can possibly dream up. Now, I mentioned a few episodes ago that there was a massive curveball thrown to my family in 2023, and I didn't dive into the specifics of that, but I will share it now and explain how it influences the theme of standards. So my wife is currently undergoing treatment for cancer. The great news is that we caught it early, and her outlook for the future is incredibly positive, but we've got chemotherapy treatment that's currently been gone through and surgeries. And what that has required is my wife to step away. And she's been the visionary in our businesses. She's a shareholder. She also had a very lucrative consulting business that derived a large part of our income. But she's shut down so she can rest and heal, which is our number one priority, as you can imagine. But I also have to be there to support her with all the appointments and also raise our son with the physical side and take him to where he needs to go while my wife rests. So that cut roughly 22 hours from my week that were previously allocated for the business. So I had to raise the standard of how I allocate my time. And we employ 8 people in our businesses that are either in a PAYG or permanent contractor capacity. And I was still doing activities that I could be passing on to them. And it made me do that audit that I spoke about in a couple of episodes ago, where you eliminate, you delegate, and you automate. So leading from where I live in that area, and move many things off my plate. So what I've had to do is then repurpose the time that I have into the activity, raising my standards, it's going to move the needle in the biggest way for our company. So we hit our targets, and there's naturally a lot of extra income to replace and recover this year while we're going through this journey. So it's changed my 2024 action plan that I shared a few episodes ago. So I will pass on the raised standards version of that. So I committed to doing 2 guest podcast episodes a month. That's now gone to a weekly episode. So I've doubled the output in there. And the reason for that is very simple. One is to add as much value, which is in line with our purpose to make the internet a better place in the business sense. But it also helps people rediscover the solutions that we offer at contentonly.au with our 30 days in 90 minutes content creation system. So the more existing audiences that we can share that message with that are a fit, the more exposure the agency gets, which could lead to more and more people downloading the system and then also contacting us if they want the done for you version of that. The second thing that I'm doing is filming the Build Your Personal Brand podcast weekly. That hasn't changed, but I'm going back and I'm starting to do a weekly episode of the Content Marketing Podcast, which I paused in maybe September or October of last year. And that was to focus on this, which I feel like is my calling and passion, sharing the Build Your Personal Brand journey, but showing up and sharing the value on the content side, because again, that is a leverage mechanism that already has an audience. We've got over 40 episodes up already. They can also drive 24/7 evergreen traffic back to our 30 days in 90 minutes content creation system at the agency. So by rejuvenating that, bringing it back to life, it creates another leverage vehicle to grow the business. And when I'm in record mode, like I am right now, I can just stop recording this podcast and then move on to the next one in the same sitting, which is very leveraged use of time. Events was one of the primary models that I was going to utilize or am utilizing to bring on new clients in 2024. And I'd committed to doing one live event a month. That's been increased to 2 to 3 live events. So I can deal in a one-to-many capacity with people. In 2023, it was a lot of one-to-one through our Calendly booking system. But now by marketing and filling the rooms, I can show up for 3 hours, add tremendous value, build an in-person relationship with everyone that's there. And then they can decide at the end if they'd like to apply for a conversation to see how either our agency can support them or I can support them with the one-on-one private work that I'm committed to doing in 2024, which is essentially working with people that just want to duplicate my action plan, which is running the live events, being guests on podcasts, creating the content and building their personal brand and monetizing through consulting, speaking, training, and various aspects, which there is a link in the show notes and description if you want to book in to have a chat to share your vision around that. I'd love to talk to you if that's part of your game plan. So the next one was the standards of which we produce for our clients in our agency and with our business. Now, by raising our own standards, we can see what increases the output quality and then ensure that our clients have those same resources available to them, spending a lot more one-on-one time with the clients to support them, make sure we get the best out of them, because by doing that raises the quality, which in the marketplace raises perception, which ultimately leads to a much more referral heavy business. And if you want referrals, just do great work. You won't be the best kept secret for too long. So if you're an existing client, get excited. We'll be introducing a lot of these changes over the coming weeks. And if you have looked or considered working with us, know we've got some major tweaks and pivots that we're putting in place to make sure you get the best quality for your brand and what you want to create in 2024. So there's some of the areas that I'm raising standards. Another one that I wanted to share that's very important to me is on the health side. So with everything that's going on, taking care of myself is extremely important, especially when I've got limited space. So since 2020, I've had a green smoothie most days, and I would have that in the afternoons, but now I've flipped that. So I intermittent fast till about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. The first thing that I put into my body now is that green smoothie with a multivitamin and a piece of fruit. So regardless of what I consume for the rest of the week, or the rest of the day, I should say, I know I've put that nutritious and those minerals and those vitamins into my body and ticked a massive box. The other aspect is on the physical fitness side, and that's ensuring that I do my cardio and strength workout before I step into the office seat. So I'm consistently taking care of my physical body. So I will do alternating days of running with the Peloton that we have set up at home, with my workout. I think I shared it on an early episode, the 300 workouts, 300 different reps of exercises across the entire body, and not allowed to start work until I've ticked those off. And that standard is really important, just so making sure that I take care of the number one asset, which is my body. And I think as a personal brand, someone listening to the podcast, you should have those self-care and health rituals taking care of first and foremost yourself, so other priorities don't override them throughout the day and you lose the momentum in those areas that make you show up the most powerfully. So in summarization, what is your theme for 2024? Pick a word that you're going to use to empower and inspire and show up in the way that you want to show up with the strongest possible intention over the next 12 months. If you've tuned into the show and you're not subscribed, make sure that you're following to catch all the future episodes as they go out. And if you're on a platform that allows you to leave a review, a 5-star review will help more people discover the show. And the final invitation, raise your own standards in 2024, and I'll do my best to lead from the front in that area.